Hey guys, so I know that some of you are new, so welcome new students to Tier 3. And some of you have already taken the Tier 3 course, but I did change the caps. If you're an old student, you know that the cap placement was one of the hardest things and like rearranging the caps. And now I have my custom caps. So now I did also include an updated cap placement video and then showing you how the student looked once we were done. But I just wanted to do it from scratch. So I want to literally do everything from scratch. The whole cap placement, making the unit, everything from scratch. So this is a brand new video because like I said, I know new people are coming, and to confuse them with the old and then watching a new one, I don't want to throw anybody off. So I'd rather just do a whole new video. Okay, so we have our canvas head. We have a cap, a medium cap. I have the front two. I've already cut the front two to the ear measurement. That's not different. That stays the same. I also already plucked it. This client is really light, so I'm using transparent lace for her. She's doing 20 inches bone straight. So we have the 13x6 front two is bone straight, is 20 inches, okay? Her circumference is a 22. So we're using a 22 canvas head. Her front to back is 14.5, but we're gonna give her 15.5 because I am hand stitching. So when I'm hand stitching, well, I don't use the sewing machine, I've tried. But when you hand stitch, you just give it like an extra inch or extra inch and a half depending on how much hair the client has. She doesn't have a lot of hair, her hair is very fine, so I'm just giving her an extra inch. Her circumference is 22, her ear to ear is 12.5. Now I already have the canvas head marked at the 12.5 ear to ear, and this step is done in measurements. You know this is the 22, so the only thing I'll do here is measure the front to back again. That's all I'll do here as far as measurements, okay? I also have a trick. I know that some of you guys are doing the sewing machine, and don't feel bad. I've tried the wig on the sewing machine with my technique, and it was cool, but it was a little too small. I just feel like the sewing machine gathers up a lot of the cap, and it takes from it a lot. So until I can master that and teach you guys that way, I will be hand stitching. That's what I do. I hand stitch my wigs. I will continue to hand stitch, but I found something that makes it much easier. I don't know if you guys are already doing this, but I'm gonna show you anyway. And this makes it much easier, and even your hand stitching goes by much faster. So let me just grab it, and I look a mess because we're here to learn. We're not here to be beauty queens, okay? So 1 second. I'm just grabbing the wefts, and I actually was already working on this. I attempted to make this unit on the sewing machine, and as you can see, it didn't work out that well for me because I had to cut it all off. So I had already doubled the wefts. I doubled the wefts on the sewing machine, and that's what I think helps it go by so much faster. So if you are one of those students that use the sewing machine, I highly recommend doubling your wefts. Take your bundles and double all your wefts on the sewing machine. It makes your sewing so much faster because this is already, once the wefts are doubled, this is already the tracks are already tight together. It's already nice and flat, so when you're stitching, you don't even have to do your stitches that close, and it just speeds up the process, and you don't have to add as much hair because your tracks are already doubled. So you can literally do like 10 to 12 rows, and you'll only have 10 to 12 tracks to hand stitch. And remember, you don't have to do them that close. So if you're using a sewing machine, doubling the wefts and then sewing them on, much easier. It'll save you a lot of time. I'm a hand stitcher, so even with me doubling the wefts on the sewing machine and then sewing it on, it just saved me so much. Like I literally sped through it. I always speed through when I sew anyway because I sew fast, but it cut my time in half. So it was just like I was on a sewing machine, honestly. So that's a tip for you guys, and I'd rather you do it like that just until we can all figure this sewing machine thing out. I mean, it works because I have students that's done it, but I just think you have to be really careful, and the cap cannot be bunched up anywhere. So until we figure that out, I think that this is the way to go. We're having the wefts doubled already. And yeah, I just think that's the easier way. It'll help you. These caps they're going to be expensive because they're already custom to small, medium, and large heads. You don't have to worry about that crazy cap placement. You don't have to rearrange caps. All of that is already done for you. So I don't want you guys wasting caps. I don't want you guys making wigs and getting excited and having to take them apart and do them over. No, let's just double, if you're using a sewing machine, let's just double the widths on the sewing machine, and it'll make life easier. And you'll save money. You're not wasting caps. These are good caps. You don't want to just be wasting your caps up. Okay? Now that we have that out the way, let me just show you guys the cap. Because some of you, when you're getting your new caps in the mail, you're probably like, oh, why does it look bunched up? And that's fine, because when you put it on, everything stretches out. This is the way it has to be made because it's already shaped for you. So everything is already shaped for you. The way that I show you in the measurements and cut in the frontal to the measurements, the way I show you to mark out your canvas head, it's already made that way. Like, the cap is already shaped for you. So you don't even have to worry about trying to stretch anything and pull it over the lines. It's already gonna do that. So don't worry about that part. Now, I'm just bringing this closer to the canvas head so we can get started. Okay. So now we have the cap, okay? We have T-pins. You need T-pins, okay? We have measuring tape, because you need measuring tape. So the first thing I'm gonna do, I'm gonna come to the back, and this is, like I said, this is a step that's already done in measuring. So I'm just gonna come to the back. I'm gonna give her the 15.5 to the front, and then I'm gonna line up this cap placement. I already have my spot for where I want to start in the back, because as you know, I start back here because of the way this is shaped for the head. Ooh. Okay. And I'm just gonna bring this to the front to 15.5. And it's already on 15.5. See that? My line is already at the 15.5 mark. Okay? So now we're gonna do the cap placement. And I want you guys to see how this cap just goes right on. Even though you guys have already seen it in the new cap placement video, still, we have new students who this is their first time seeing this video. So we're gonna do cap placement. Now, with the straps, when you go to put the straps in, do not pull it through these hoops yet. This is for afterwards. For right now, you're just gonna put it in like the third one. You don't even have to come to the middle anymore. Just come to the second or third one in the beginning and put this one here on the second or third one too. Okay? And then you wanna take the cap. You want to take your cap and you want to line it up on the canvas head, okay? So we're going to line it up. Now, when you're doing your measurement, this part of the cap, this tab part of the cap, this is not included in your measurement. Yes, you can sew on it, but it is not a part of your measurement. So your measurement should start right here onto the line where we start the measurement for the 15.5 at, okay? So you're pulling it down. When you pull it down, you want to take a T-pin and you want to get a T-pin in each side, because you want this thing to stretch out nice and flat and flush across the nape of the canvas neck, okay? So that's one side, right? See that? Let's zoom that in. That's one side. Now you want to do the other side. Remember, you're on your line for the start of your measurement. Come to the side, come through the side here, and get that in, okay? So now both of it is down. They're both down. That is flat against the back of this. The flatter and the tighter you get this, the more snug the unit will fit on the head. So you want this completely flat and tight. So when it goes onto the head, it is flush. The way the cap fits on the canvas, that's the way you want the cap to fit onto your head. Okay? So that's the back, locked in. Okay? Now, for the side. So you see how it looks scrunched up here? That's fine, because now you're just going to take this side and you're going to stretch it. You are stretching right to this front line. This line here, remember the lines that I said was your guide, like your ears? You don't have to stretch over this line. You need to just stretch to the line. We used to stretch over it, but now you just stretch to the line. So this line, that's where you stretch it to. If you feel more safe or you want that sideburn piece to give you that extra extension, or give the client like an extra extension, because some clients like more sideburn, just bring it a little bit over the line, but not all the way here, just a tad bit over the line. I'm going to give this client a little extra sideburn because she likes to tuck her hair behind her ear, and I'll come close so you can see where I'm putting it. So it's up to you if you want to put it to the line or just a little bit over. It is completely up to you. Okay, so I just put hers a little bit over the line. That's your line, and I just bring hers a little bit over. But notice how the cap already shaped around for the ear to ear. Remember that shape I was talking about? The way your ear shapes? This is it. This is how your frontal should sit. Because your ears, in the corner of your ear, it's not a straight cut. Your frontal should angle over your ear. Over your ear. You see that? It's a curve. It's a curve. So you curve around the ear. So notice how the cap is already customized to shape around the ear. You do not have to use the T-pins to pull it up and do that part. It already shapes that way. Now the next side, you want to do the same thing. You notice how the way it's on and it looks bunched up? That's okay, because you're just gonna pull this side to your line or a little over your line. And my tab is not bent forward. I like for my tabs to be bent forward. So you want to pull it. If you can't do it on the head, if it's a little tight, do it in your lap. Do it in your lap and pull. Or however you need to pull it right to your line. But it's not going to be a struggle at all. Right I did hers again a little over the line, just a little. That's the line, just a little bit over. And again, even on this side, notice how it's already shaped. For the way I drew the ears to carve, notice how it's already shaped. It already shapes on both sides. Now just pull this down to your marking for your, whatever your measurement was. Hers was 15.5 and it was already at the line for me. Oh, I had two lines there. Let me just double check again. Rather be safe than sorry. I think it's my first line, but I'm still gonna double check. Yep, it's my first line. So you can just make sure your cap is down onto your line for the front. And even though these caps are made custom to the small, medium, and largest, you'll still notice that you still have room in the caps. So you just want to double check yourself and just make sure that any room when you stick your T-pin, any extra room that you can pull forward. You just want to pull it forward, because remember, the room in the cap goes underneath your frontal. Any room in your cap, any excess room in your cap that you have to remove should come underneath your frontal. So if you're using a 13x6, you want to make sure your room is up here somewhere, because the 13x6 come further back. If you're using a 13x4 frontal, you want to make sure when you bring that room out, your T-pins are like up here, because the 13x4s fall shorter. Any excess room and your cap needs to come forward, regardless to what frontal you're doing, 13 by 4 or 13 by 6. If you're doing a 13 by 6, it can come back a little bit, but you're still bringing the room out. The room needs to be underneath the frontal. The reason why the room should be underneath the frontal is because when you put the frontal on and you're done sewing down your frontal and you've sewed down your wefts, when you go to cut this excess cap from underneath the frontal, you want to make sure you took all the room from out the cap. Because if room is left in the cap, it's just going to be baggy. You want your wig to be nice, flat, tight, snug against your head. You don't want any bagginess. You don't want it loopy underneath there. No, you want your frontal nice and flat, your wefts nice and flat. So all of your room should come forward. 13 by 4s, like I said, they're typically like somewhere up here. So that means all of this room, any room that you take out, your T-pins with the room should be up here. For 13 by 6s, you have a little more space to come back because they stretch further. But just to be safe, always bring your T-pins forward. So I'm even going to move my T-pin up just to be safe. Just so you're making sure that that room and that cap is underneath that frontal. Okay? So I move mine up. Now I'm going to do the same thing on this side. I'm going to bring my room up. Isn't it amazing that there's still room in this cap? These caps really stretch. So grip the room up with your hands and just make sure that room is brought close to the front. Okay? You can come over here and do it too. Okay, and now your middle. And when you do the middle and you stick the T-pin in there, go through this part. Go through that double wefted part so you don't put holes in the cap. Okay, so go through that part. Go through that part. Pull it forward and stick your T-pin down in there. And use as many T-pins that are comfortable for you. We're bringing this room forward. All right. So now we have the room out of the cap. You're bringing the room out of the cap. I've explained to you why the room needs to come out of the cap. And now you can do your frontal placement. And this also makes frontal placement so much easier. Okay. All right. So now, and you guys also have ebooks. I just want to put another T-pin right here because I like for my cap to be flush against the canvas because that's the way I want it to fit on the head. But yes, you guys also have ebooks. The ebooks will be available to you guys as well. The pictures are in the ebook. So in your ebook, you'll notice that your picture of your room being taken out looks just like this. Okay? Now, the room has been taken out. We've done the cap placement. We did it to the measurement of the client's head. Now it's just time to put the frontal on over the cap. So you want to hold your frontal up, okay? And now, remember what I said about having a 13 by 6 and a 13 by 4 and the room being taken out. When you do your frontal placement, one of your main concerns is right here. When we cut the frontal to the ear measurement, this part right here is very important. This is where your tab connects to your frontal, which makes it glueless. Okay? So when you're doing this part here, you want to be sure that this, you see this? You see your frontal? That your frontal lines up over your tab in the front. Okay? You see? Once you get that lined up over your tab in the front, bring it a little forward, a little before the tab. Some of the hairs a little before the tab, okay? Not too much because you don't want it flappy right there. And you want to lock it in. You want to take a T-pin, or you can use the pins with the little pearl at the top so you don't put holes in the lace. And you want to lock it in. You could put one there. I'm going to put one here in the corner. Okay. I'm going to turn this to the side. I'm going to take a T-pin and right here, I'm going to lift this so you can see, right here, where the part of this, the back of the frontal is, I'm just going to lock the T-pin right at the part where it will be sewn down. Okay, so it's always sewn down on top of the band part, on top of the band part of your cap, not your strap, the band part. It's always sewn down on top of this. So this is what it should look like. Okay, on that side. And now that you have that side, you can come around to the other side. So you have that side locked in, right? You can literally take the frontal, bring it to the other side, and do the same thing. If you feel more comfortable and you need control of the frontal, go to the middle. Go to the middle, take your T-pin, and just lock it down in the middle, okay? Just like that. Just so you have control of this side, okay? So now that you have that out the way, you want to do the same. You want to take, remember, you want this frontal part to angle this very part, this important part, that sideburn area that you want to have flat in front of your frontal. You want to take that and you want to angle it, look at that, right over the tab. And you want to lock it in. All right. So you see it's locked in right there, but I'm going to put another T-pin just to lock it over this a little bit, just so nobody gets thrown off. Okay, so we're locked in. We're locked in right here. Now remember that back part of the frontal, this part. Now this part needs to be locked in too. But before you lock that part in, just come around before you lock that part and go around on your other side. And I'm gonna clip this out the way so you guys can see what I'm doing. And once you get used to it, it's super easy. You don't have to stress yourself over this part. Okay, so now I've clipped it out the way. All right, so once you, remember this part is locked in, but you still can feel just to see how far back you have room to come, okay? Now, while you have that part clipped out the way, this is the other side. The front part is locked in, but we didn't lock the back in yet, right? Take your T-pins and just, you see how I'm able to move this back? But while you're moving it back, always check that front and make sure you're not throwing off where you locked your frontal in the front. Make sure you're not throwing off from there. Make sure it's locked in and it's not moving. Because what happens is if that moves, if the T-pins move from here and you pull this frontal all the way back and you sew it down back and this part is not covering the tab, it's going to throw your whole frontal fit off. So all this is your most important part. These front two parts here, these two parts are your most important parts. You want to make sure that these are locked in. Even here, your middle part that needs to come down to the measurement. Make sure that's on the measurement. You don't need to throw your measurement off in any way, okay? So, as long as those three are locked in, when you come to this back and pull, if you have room to stretch back, use it. Use the room to stretch the front two back to where it needs to be. So we have room to stretch this back, even from right here. So what I'm just gonna do is take the T-pins and begin to stretch the front two back. Remember, be careful. Don't snatch it and rip it and throw yourself off. You're not in a rush for anything. Take your time, be careful, and do it right. So you save yourself time from doing it over and over. Okay? And see why I said that you need to make sure when you're taking the room out that your T-pins come up forward, because the front two needs to cover them. Okay? And you don't have to have all these T-pins. I'm just showing you how to get your front two locked in, pull back properly. Alright, so your front two is locked in. The front two is locked in. We're still on board here. Nothing has been moved. If we come around to that back, let's look at that. That's locked in. That's locked in. That's locked in. The front two has been placed over the cap. And we can now start sewing the front two down. Okay. So, let's start sewing the front two down. I always start sewing my front twos from the middle. I start from the middle and I come down to one side, and then I come back to the middle and go down on this side, okay? So we're just gonna start the sewing for the front two. I'm gonna move the middle T-pin. Sew this close and tight, please, because you don't want your front two to move. You don't want your front two to move. So you want to sew it as tight as possible. Tight and close. Sorry. I'm single sewing and I forgot to do this. Because this thread I'm using is really thick. It's not my usual thread that I would use. But whatever. Okay. Okay, for some reason we got stopped, but let's finish getting this front two stitched down. Remember, close and tight. And while you're sewing, if you have room, if it stretches to come back, you can bring it back. Don't pull too much, because remember, you don't want to throw your stitch off. But you do just want to make sure you're sewing it down nice and tight the way it's supposed to be, so it's no bunching underneath and it's not feeling weird underneath when you go to cut the cap from in front of it. I mean, from underneath it. I hate that these hairs. Make sure that you're not moving it from the front. All right, gotta do another thread. And if you have a stand and it's not sturdy, especially when sewing your frontal on, I recommend doing it in your lap, just so you can really get the frontal locked in nice and tight. And remember, you'll feel how much room you have to stretch back. Okay. Now when you get to the edge of the frontal, remember what I said about where this should be stitched This should be stitched onto the top of the band, not the cap, not the net, because remember that gets cut from underneath it. So you want it on the top of the band part of the cap, not your strap, the top of the band part of your cap. Okay, so now that you're at that edge of the frontal, you can remove the T-pin. Now, you want to go through the top of the band. You see where my pin is at? It's coming through the band. Grab the edge of the frontal and begin stitching that down. You see that? Now, again, top of the band, not just the net, the band. Careful not to rip your frontal. So be gentle right there. Don't be fast and start sewing all fast, because this part here is not a part of the measurement. The measurement, sorry. This part here is not a part of what you're going to be stitching down. This tab part, where that front part of your frontal is, on this tab part, you are not stitching that with this black thread. This is a hidden stitch. So from right here, where the tab starts, the tab of the cap, from the start of that tab to the front of it, you do not stitch there. Do not stitch on that. I repeat, do not stitch on that. Because that is not a part of this. That is for a hidden stitch. So you will not be stitching there. Let me just show you. So this is a blank cap that I have. Let me show you what you're not stitching on. You are not stitching on this tab. This tab does not get the stitch. You're stitching on top of this band and you're stopping here. You do not stitch there. That's a hidden stitch. Trying to make sure that my hand is not in the way. Okay. My nails look so crazy. This coronavirus. Something else. Okay. And I don't stitch through the bottom of that band. I stitch through the top. So through the top and the bottom of that band is still there. And I'm getting close to the tab. So I have like one more stitch. And I'm locking it in right now. And I'm gonna double knot this and pull it through. And I'm still gonna tie off. Okay, now notice where I stitched. I stitched all along here. I did not stitch this part, okay? So now we're gonna stitch down the other side. Okay. Same situation. Start from the middle, come down to the side. Okay. Oh, this thread is so heavy, I hate it. Okay, I'm gonna have to switch sides here because I cannot stitch on this side. So I'm going to turn this around like that. Okay, so now I'm starting from the middle. Okay. Make sure you're not pulling too much. As you get close to these T-pins that you have in there, however many you're gonna have in there, you can start to move them. Gonna use another needle. I'm gonna reinforce this with my regular thread as soon as I find it, because I don't like this thread and these stitches. And remember, your frontals need to be tight, flat and tight. This thread is driving me crazy. Alright, I'm gonna move this T-pin. Okay, so now that we're at the edge, we're going to take the tip of that, the top of the band, remember, with that, see? And we're just going to continue sewing on the top of the band. Remember, we do not sew on the tab part. I have a T-pin there, actually it's right there. The T-pin is right there. We do not sew the tab part, remember. That is a separate hidden stitch, and that's when we're done. I have a little extra frontal hanging over my thing, so I'm just gonna clip right there. And sometimes you'll have that, like your frontal, it's a little extra on the tips. Okay. Okay, we have like 2 more stitches. Alrighty. Okay, so that's it. That is it. The frontal has been completely stitched down. The frontal is stitched down both sides, and now we just have the back. So I won't do the whole video of me sewing down the back. I will do just like the first 2 tracks, and then I'll come back when everything is all sewn up. We're gonna cut the cap from underneath, do the hidden stitch, and we'll style it. So let me just do these the wefts for here. Sorry, I'm all over the place with my words. I thought I I tried to keep these in order after my epic sewing machine fail. Okay. So this was 3 bundles. 3 bundles of 20, and I had already done the wefts doubled. Just to make life easier for me when I thought that I was going to be sewing on a sewing machine. Pieces. All right, so let's get these wefts sewn onto here. Okay, so I like to sew one here, and I'll do like one near, and then I'll start my stitching. And in your ebook, I have a photo of how I draw the lines. So the lines, because they're already here, they're pretty much come around this way. You can do as many lines as you want, big, small, it's up to you, and however many wefts you want. When I get to here, like the crown, I do that one coming this way, and then the rest of them I'll go that way, so that the tracks can lay flat behind the frontal, and you'll get a nice flat foundation. The diagram is definitely in the ebook, so you will see that. You will see that in your ebooks. Let me just raise this a little bit. Here we go. So I'm just going to sew these 2 on, and then I will come back when it's time to take it off. Okay. And this is wefts that are already doubled. But you don't have, like I said, you don't have to sew that close because they've already been sewn together for double wefts on your sewing machine. So they're already close together and flat. You don't have to worry about that with your stitching. I mean, still stitch good because you just want the units to last, but I know in my experience doing it like this on a sewing machine with the double wefts and then sewing it made my job much easier, and I went much faster. Excuse me from how I'm going right now. I ordered this big finger thread from Cali, and it's horrible. Not horrible, but it's like thick and waxy. It wasn't the right one. And of course I can't find my regular thread, so yeah, this thread is pissing me off. Sorry. You know, if I wasn't filming this, it would have given me no issues. This thread is really pissing me off. I'm gonna have to find my other thread to continue because I cannot deal with this. And if you know me and you know how I like to sew, this is not gonna cut it at all. So let's cut this. All right, let's cut this and tie you off. Let's do one more. Actually, two more. Okay, got this crazy thread. This is the worst. But let's not complain. Let's keep going. Okay. Okay. Could tie off.